everybody, it's Brian Asbury, and I just wanted to welcome you to today's episode. If you could, like today's episode, hit that subscribe button, and let's continue to grow the developmentally speaking brand.
Ladies and gentlemen, my guest today is wrestler, promoter, actor, Jayson Maples. Jayson, how's it going?
If I was doing any better, I couldn't possibly stand it. I tell people I'm living the dream one nap at a time.
I see that you're always going. Facebook, you're always doing something. I don't know how you rest, how you sleep. Always on the
I,
move.
I don't.
So let me ask you this. What made you want to get into professional wrestling?
I didn't. I lucked into it, man, to be honest. I started doing stand-up comedy when I was 16 years old. And during the summers, I was living with my older brother down in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I'm an Indiana boy.
Mhm.
And so I was moonlighting at a comedy club while I was down there on vacation, and there were some wrestlers in the front row. Well, in my comedy, how I did then is I picked on the people in the front row, and these wrestlers were in the front row, and I was like, "What are you guys doing?" They're like, "We're professional wrestlers," and I was like, "Ooh," and they came up to me afterwards, like I thought they wanted to beat me up, and they just wanted to talk to me about wrestling, and I got their business card, and I followed up with them. I think maybe the next um, people that knew Ivan Koloff, and so I took his training classes in Indian Trail, North Carolina, and learned how to do the business. I loved performing. I loved all I've ever wanted to be is an entertainer. Um, from even a young age, my parents got me ventriloquist, puppets, and I just always felt at home on stage, wrestling, grandest stage of them all, so to speak, to coin a phrase. And so it felt natural to me. And, I enjoyed wrestling, like when I was in junior high and high school. We're talking about the mid to late 80s. And Hulk Hogan, of course, larger than life, Andre the Giant, Hacksaw and the $1 Million Man, and Jimmy Snuka, all those guys who, outside of Andre, I've worked with all of the. Well, I haven't worked with Hogan per se, but the rest of those guys, I worked with them. I shared the ring with them. It's been very surreal
Mhm.
at moments.
Yeah, I remember. So, how long did you wrestle before you started promoting? Because I remember growing up, like, you always had somebody at every show you did, it seemed like.
So I learned how to wrestle I went to training in 1993 into 1994, and then I got lucky and hooked up with Italian Stallion and George South, and got to go do a weekend 3-day deal with the WWF in early '94. But even then, I realized, one, I was only 6 foot tall, and most of these guys were 6'7", six, just monsters.
Hmm.
And I was still pretty green, probably had no business being where I was at the time. But again, I got very lucky. And, or rather, I realized it's the promoter that does infinitely better financially than the boys sometimes. And I wanted to take my hand at running a show. The first couple were miserable. I didn't know what I was doing. Failed miserably. But I didn't pack up my ball and go home. I just kept going. And so the first, I guess, so to answer your question, I wrestled about a year and a half, 2 years before I ran my own show, and that was in 1995. And then I ran every Saturday night for 13 and a half. And so, that was, I had a thing called EWF, and 13 and a half years. Yeah. We ran shows every Saturday, and about once a month, I brought somebody in like Jake the Snake or Jerry Lawler or King Kong Bundy or Bam Bam Bigelow. We just were every month, and so we were running storyline, and then it'd basically be at the beginning of every month we'd have a blow off with a big name, and the storylines we've been running for the last 3 or 4 weeks would come to a finish. But that was brutal, man, running
Mm-hmm.
every Saturday for that long. And I don't know if you remember from pictures or being around, but it got to be so bad. Uh, the mind can play funny tricks on you, man, and
Mm-hmm.
depression is real and anxiety is real, and I got up to 500 and almost 70 pounds and severely depressed and hated my life. And luckily things turned around for me, and I stopped doing shows every month or every week, and dropped it off to like 4 times a year, and then was going to quit altogether and decided to run my first Heroes and Legends convention, and that was in 2012, and it just took off. And I wish that's what I had been doing all
Mm-hmm.
along. And it's great, you got 10, 12, 15, 20 bigger name guys.
Mm-hmm.
And the best part of these shows for me is, well, not so much anymore, because like these conventions happen all over the place. So these guys see each other all the time. But back in 2012, there were not very many
Mm-hmm.
companies that were doing conventions. And, since COVID, they've really taken off, or after COVID.
Mm-hmm.
But best story I can tell you, I had Bobby the Brain Heenan at a show, and George the Animal Steel was there, and Nikolai Volkov was there, and Luke Bushwhacker was there, and none of those guys had seen Bobby for a very long time. And there was I've got a picture of it somewhere. Nikolai came over to the table and hugged Bobby, and both of them were crying, like they hadn't seen each other in such a long time. And so for me, it felt like this class reunion or
Mm-hmm.
family reunion, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it. Outside of that, it's coming to these shows and these families that maybe the dad watched wrestling when he was a kid, and now, he's watching with his kids. Of course, they're watching Roman Reigns and Seth
Mm-hmm.
Rollins and this new crop. And now they can kind of bridge this all together, because dad can say, well, this guy here, Greg the Hammer Valentine, was my John Cena,
Mm-hmm.
or, Coco Beware was my, what, AJ, you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
these were my guys, these were your guys, but this is what I loved, when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's neat to, see the smiling faces on the adults and the kids. And we try to mix it up so that we've got people from the golden age of wrestling, from the 80s, 90s, 2000s. We've got some current,
Mm-hmm.
people on the show as well. So, the last 60 years, if you watched wrestling, I try to have it so where somebody
Mm-hmm.
that's at my show.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Was it an easy transition from working with all this talent during your 13 and a half years to doing the convention?
You know, these shows kind of write themselves. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I was already like pounding the pavement. I'm a firm believer in like posters,
Mm-hmm.
and I did like I don't know, 600 big posters, and 20,000 of these, like I'm out in my truck now. That's what we're doing. These little tiny things to put on countertops. And so I always already did that.
Mhm.
And now you're just doing it with a bigger payroll,
Mhm.
and it's even more of an incentive to want to go out and get the word out because A, you got to cover your payroll.
Mhm.
And B, if you're only doing this a couple of times a year, you need to do it well enough that you're not struggling. And so uh, I think that's the biggest obstacle is promoting the event
Mhm.
to get the butts in the seats. With social media now, um, and saying this, you cannot just advertise on social media.
Mhm.
You have to put posters out. You have to, get print ads and radio. Everybody's doing digital. TV is still good. You got to let the people know you're going to be there, or they can't show up to support you. Um, the transition from running every Saturday to just running twice a year. I'm sorry, I go off on a tangent
No, you're
sometimes.
fine.
Um, it was really about the same for me, except now it gives me about a 6 month lead time
Mhm.
to prepare everything and get it ready to go so that day of the show, hopefully it's just nice and smooth sailing.
Mhm.
It got bad when it was every Saturday in a sense because you're stressing. I got to cover the month's rent on the building. I got to cover the month's rent on the utilities. I got to pay the boys every Saturday. And then, do I have anything left over for me? And there were weeks where no, man, it was like a big egg.
Mhm.
And, you know, it's bad because, you end up working really hard, and then, if you have a show that tanks,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I took it hard on myself if I ever had shows that tanked, and I had some that did miserably.
Mhm.
Um, I think it's easier to run
Mhm.
the bigger show, and the word of mouth. And of course, I'm coming up on number 19.
Mhm.
We're going to circle back around with number 20 in Fort Wayne, and I'm excited about that. Um, the beauty of that is, and the long standing, you know, 1 through 19 now, is the fans that come.
Mhm.
Um, before I even book any talent, I've already sold out my front row
Mhm.
because they know they're going to expect something great.
Mhm.
Um, so it kind of writes itself. It kind of sells itself. I still don't ever shortcut myself. I don't half-ass it, so to speak. And I work as if, I'm at square one
Mhm.
because I want it to succeed. And luckily I have sponsors and businesses that come in and set up, and vendors that bring guests in, and just makes for a a good experience. I love it.
Mhm. And you offer more than just you offer. You have some matches. You have when I was there last time, Dr. Tom was doing a seminar. So
Yeah,
you really offer a variety of things at these, and not every convention does that. I feel like it's very positive to do like the seminars and stuff to give back
yeah.
like that.
So
Yeah.
and I'm actually we're getting ready to launch a whole new thing. So I live down here in the Smoky Mountains now, and you want some breaking news?
Yeah. Let's hear it.
You're getting this first, and no one else knows this. So we're going to be doing a wrestlers retreat, and it'll be a 3 day, 2 night thing for wrestlers only. You'll stay in a really awesome cabin on the side of a mountain, indoor pool, just a great vacation alone. But then it'll be mixed with guys like Dr. Tom and Nick Dinsmore and several, wrestling talents who have been around.
Hmm.
And throughout the weekend, we'll have seminars, and we'll go out and do, activities as a group. And I think it'll be cool on some weekends where these guys aren't working somewhere. that
Hmm.
they can come and get away and relax. And I've got a place that has like cryotherapy and massage therapy. And so the guys, when they leave here that weekend, they're going to feel like $1 million. They're going to have learned something, hopefully, over the weekend,
Hmm.
and they've got a chance to unwind and hang out with some of their fellow brothers and sisters in the business and network, and just have a good time, and hopefully have learned something over the weekend that will help better them in their career.
That's amazing. I don't
Yeah,
think.
I think it's going to be exciting. I literally have just been putting this together over the last couple of days. So I'm really not completely full of what we're gonna do. For
Hmm.
3, or it'll be 2 nights and 3 days. Like check in on Friday, out on Sunday. Um, but we've had people throw things around, like maybe the last morning before we leave, we get Paige to come up and do DDP yoga with them out
Mm.
on the side of a mountain. Dude, how peaceful and awesome would that be
Oh
to be
yeah.
doing yoga, out on the side of a mountain? Uh, if you ever been here
Hmm.
to the Smokies?
Yep.
Yeah, so you know how beautiful and
Hmm.
peaceful it is, unless maybe we got a bear creep up on us while we're out there.
So let's talk about your upcoming event on May 13th,
Sure.
number
Uh,
19.
so May 13th, Smoky Mountain Convention Center. It's on the Parkway, right across the street from the Dolly Parton Stampede. We've got like 50 vendors. Got at least 40, wrestlers, Tony Atlas, Heath Slater, Greg Valentine, Sabu, the Godwins, Kevin Sullivan, Thunder Rosa, Jordan Grace, um, Dr. David Schultz, man, the smack heard around the world, brother. Shook Dunkerton's coming back. He hasn't been with me in a while, or sometimes they call him Pineapple Pete. Let's see, Wolfie D from PG-13, Butterbean, Juventud Guerrero, the Boogeyman, one of my new favorites, man, AJ Kazana.
Hmm.
I don't know if you know him, but he's one half of the tag champs in NWA. He's a local boy here for me. Phenomenal talent, great
Hmm.
human being. Gustavo, his one of his best friends, and also a local guy. Dr. Tom again, and we'll be doing a seminar as well. And then my champs, man, Ari Alexander defending the ladies title. Drew Skills and Sam Knight defending the tag titles. Cody Lee defending the cruiser. Um, Chase Stevens defending the Tennessee title. Um, the whole show is going to be great. We've got one of the original Blue Power Rangers. Capon is his last name. He was also on One Tree Hill. We've got about 7 guys that were distillers on Moonshiners. We've got cosplayers. We got some people that were zombies on The Walking Dead. If you've ever checked out TikTok, we got Mick Grimes and IB Negan, who are the spitting images of Negan and Rick Grimes. We've got Santana Jackson, also huge on TikTok.
Hmm.
Michael Jackson impersonator. He's got a big show in Vegas. He'll be here. He also wrestles as Michael Jackson. Big 20-man battle royal. Geesh, I'm definitely forgetting someone. Matt Ashley, a great artist. Cosplayers, Ghostbusters, Darth Vader. Just the who's who of comic type conventions, comic book artists, um, some famous cosplayers coming, some Dukes of Hazzard people coming. We even got a guy that uh, is an impersonator for Ernest P. Worrell. This dude, man, know what I mean, Vern? Dude, he is spot on. It's great, and I feel like I'm talking to Ernest when he's there. Um, and that's what it's really all about, man. It's about having fun too.
Hmm.
And the good thing for me, usually on a show day, the promoter's all stressed out and running in 27 different ways. Me, I'm having a good time.
Hmm.
And thankfully, I've got enough staff that I'm allowed to walk around and enjoy myself and walk around and see the fans having a good time. And Man, for me, that's the best
Hmm.
is making sure that what we do brings smiles to people's faces. Of course, we also give back to the community. We've got our harvest food bank here that we're accepting non-perishables. We've also got wish kids coming in. We've got uh, sort of like a book exchange for people that have books. We're going to take them to the children's home here for kids to have books. Um, One of our sponsors, Pink Jeep, is having a huge fundraiser for uh, like fostering kids.
Hmm.
Um, Gosh, just so much stuff going on during the span of the day. I should have made myself notes. Uh,
Where can they get tickets at?
Well, they can get tickets at heroesandlegendswrestling.com. Also, if you're local to the area, we've got some great businesses that are pre-selling tickets for us. There's a We the People store, which is over on Weir's Valley, Bigfoot Philly Cheesesteak, Lanier General Store, the Man Cave Barber Shop, Violet Kingdom, and there's a place called the Dam Store, and they're over by a lake and a dam, so that's kind of a play on words. So really, tons of ways to get tickets, or you can shoot me a message on Facebook, and I can handle the transaction for you as well. We want you guys here. We want to pack the house out here in the Smokies, um, so that we can continue to do it.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on today. I know you'll have a very successful event with Heroes and Legends, and thank you for
Thank you,
being
buddy.
thank you for coming on today. I
Oh,
greatly
absolutely,
appreciate
man.
it.
I appreciate you.